Hello, welcome to EMA's Marketing Webinar Series. I want to thank you for joining us on this webinar, 7 Steps to Effective Content Marketing. My name is John O'Hara, and I'm the Director of Content Strategy here at Eric Mower & Associates. I've been with EMA for nearly 20 years and have been providing clients with public relations and content marketing services for our B2B clients in a variety of different industries. So let's get started. First, I think we need to define what content marketing is. According to Wikipedia, content marketing is any marketing that involves the creation and sharing of media and publishing content in order to acquire and retain customers. Wow, that's a very broad definition, and it seems to uncover the entire marketing waterfront, from advertising to social sharing to public relations, all for the purposes of acquiring and retaining customers. So what's driving all the attention around content marketing? I would argue that this has to do with this statistic. 52% of the purchasing process buyers will go through before they ever talk to someone in sales. This is really a fundamental shift that's changing the way companies need to look at their marketing and develop content marketing campaigns. Through search engines, online sources, customers can gather a tremendous amount of information online about products and services long before they're ready to engage with your brand or contact the salesperson. Another important point is that content marketing pre-dollars produce 3 times more leads than traditional marketing. So if you're developing content that's relevant to potential customers and it helps them overcome their challenges and barriers, then your content will generate leads and awareness. So this is an important point here. So clearly most B2B and B2C companies are doing some type of content marketing. But when you go a little deeper, you'll see that most of the marketing people like yourselves feel that their content marketing is really falling short. It's really not meeting expectations. Why? I think there are a lot of reasons why, but I think I'll focus in on a few of these. They lack a coordinated strategy. Is your strategy to help retain existing customers? Is it to motivate employees, to attract job seekers, or is it to acquire new customers? And are the organizations just dabbling with content marketing, and therefore they really have a lack of focus? And one of the things I hear a lot about is we have limited resources. It's really something else like a lack of commitment from the organizations to content marketing, and appropriate budget allocations haven't been made to it. And as you know, good analytics and determining your key performance indicators are critical elements for success. And we'll certainly talk more about that. So how do you overcome these challenges? For the rest of the presentation, we're going to talk about all the things on this slide here, from developing strategy to developing good editorial calendar and everything in between. We all know Seth Godin, and he says content marketing is the only marketing that's left. So now we're going to talk about the 7 steps that you can use to improve or start your content marketing program depending on where you are. One of the first things I like to talk about is performing a content audit. And it's not really a formal audit, certainly not anything like a financial audit, but you really need to figure out what you have to do, what you have, what you need to work with first. What strengths can you highlight? What stories do you have to tell? Maybe through doing some keyword searches, you can get a sense of what topics your customers are interested in and find compelling, and what are their challenges. And one of the things is, how can you help them do their job better? What emerges and what can you find as a content niche? you need to look at all your existing properties and content. So we all have a lot of different content properties. By that I mean it could be websites, microsites, landing pages, blogs, e-newsletters, case studies, and videos. So really need to get a sense of what all those things are, where they are, and what purpose they have. One of the things you really need to focus on is creating a spreadsheet of your properties and your assets, and get all the URLs in one place, the downloadable files into a spreadsheet. And really chances are you didn't even know you had that much content, or you even called it content at the time. It's an important thing. People have a lot of stuff stuffed away in their drawers and all the places where they are. The people have created things in the past that might be still relevant today that you could utilize. That would really be great to resurrect as well. One of the things in this actual spreadsheet is you need to determine, what department or group is responsible for that content, who created it, what's the target audience if you know that. Figure out if it's gated or premium. Is it a white paper that's on a landing page with a form fill that you have to fill out to get it? Is it something that's prominently featured on your home page, or is it buried way deep down into the bowels of the website? And one of the things I will add here, and I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it, is that EMA has a way to go even deeper on some of this, is that we have something called a share of visibility analysis, or SOVA we're calling it. And it's really a competitive online audit of your brand's key products and services. And it really looks at 3 areas that drive online search visibility. And it really creates an actionable dashboard so you can build content strategies through measurement and analysis. Unfortunately, this is where people sort of glaze over because it's like telling people to brush their teeth. It's a critical step. You need to clean your marketing database, or databases as the case might be. A lot of clients we find have multiple databases and there's not a lot of connection in between them. Really try to consolidate those databases and bring your contacts over into one place. Do the updates, delete the duplications and the excess data. You also need to ask if capturing the right information and review the database structure. Are you asking the right questions? Do you have the right emails? Are the things that you're getting that you need in order to do content marketing? Step 3, know what your buyers care about. This is sort of an overlooked or a sort of shortchanged part of the process, I think, and really knowing what your customers care about is critical. You need to really eavesdrop the best you can. Go online, social media, LinkedIn, forums. Look at all the places that you can to find out exactly what your customers are talking about and how they share, or even if they share. There's some markets where there's not a great deal of sharing going on in the B2B space. And you need to make this part of an ongoing regimen within your marketing program. Again, another critical piece, you need to find out what customers are searching for and develop keyword lists. This is pretty obvious, but those keywords need to be deeply ingrained in the writing and the content creation. All too often, people don't even think about this. They get the keyword list after the content's already been created, or no one really provided it to them. It's really an important point if you're trying to increase your SEO and to build those keywords. How well do you know your customers? I would recommend doing a persona workshop of some kind to sketch out who you're really trying to reach. And this is another important point. People don't really take the time to find out exactly who their content marketing program is going to be targeted at. They sort of randomly do content and they don't really think about the audience as well as they should. What are their pain points? What are their everyday concerns? And their barriers to overcome? And I guess the fundamental question is, how will each piece of content elicit a desired result for each persona? So the pieces that you're creating, like an ebook or white paper or webinar, what kind of result do you want that persona to have? I mean, what is the desired reaction that you want? I guess everybody has a funnel, right? The key takeaway here is to map your assets and your resources to the different states in the customer journey. And ultimately, how do you get them to become a customer? So if you have the funnel and you're trying to create awareness and build them all the way through the funnel, what types of content do we hit them at during different parts of the funnel and ultimately get them to be a customer? Align your internal resources. I hear this one all the time. People are too busy. They just don't have the bandwidth to do content marketing. And I understand that. I really do. I mean, I know people are really busy, but are you really focused on the things that are having impact? Are you really focused on the things that are generating leads and really helping to gain new customers? Now, these are important questions. How can you get different people to contribute to the process, and how can you effectively use thought leaders and internal knowledge to produce content? Do you need outside writers or videographers, graphic designers to get those things done? Do you have an adequate budget? This is one that I hear a lot. People are saying, okay, I want to do content marketing, but I have no budget allocation. Should I take it from Peter to pay Paul? Is it something that I really am serious about and I want to focus on? You need to align your resources with the project at hand. One of the obvious things is that you need an editorial calendar, and I know you probably have all heard this before, but it is a critical element. It's not just for timing and keeping the production on track with projects, but it's really about trying to identify common themes and topics and really to help develop content pillars. Sometimes we refer to them as big rocks, and that can help drive a lot of different content and how we space them out over time and coincide with other things that are going on in your marketing, like trade shows or ad campaigns and other things that we'll be hitting. So those big rocks that we talk about a lot, or premium content, major pieces, they really are something you need to look at as a way to drive a lot of the other content. So if you have a large ebook or a white paper, or you have a webinar series or something like that, certainly using all of those things to drive lots of other social content, to drive public relations, to drive infographics, other things that you want to create. So the big rocks are important, and once you get them on a calendar, you can really get a sense of where things lay out, and you can build through your campaign for an entire year or even longer. And last but not least, measurement and tracking. This really could be a topic for an entire webinar. This is very large and important topic, but I'll be able to touch on some of the highlights here. I can't go into depth on all of it. In the beginning of the webinar, I mentioned that most marketers are unsatisfied with content marketing programs that they have. They feel like they're not getting great results or they're unfocused. But I believe it's because they haven't established the goals and the key performance indicators, and therefore they aren't measuring properly. You need to track the interaction to the prospect level the best you can. And that's not always easy, I understand. With marketing automation programs like Marketo and Pardot, you can easily score individuals and mark progress through their customer journey through the funnel. But ultimately, you can deliver quality of leads to sales and gauge how those quality of leads are moving through the pipeline. So it's not just a matter of providing a lead, but it's also trying to figure out how they're going through the pipeline, what reaction sales had to those leads, and ultimately what came out the other end as a sale. And then, by the way, I would say that EMA is agnostic, when it comes to marketing automation. That is to say, we really aren't concerned necessarily with what software programs you use, what levels of sophistication you have, whether you're using a marketing automation system or a CRM, or you're using something basic like Constant Contact or Exact Target, any of those type systems. But, ultimately you need to be able to have some place to keep the information in your database, and ultimately you need to be able to drive out the content that you're trying to produce to let people know it's there. So I would say, even though you may not have the sophisticated content marketing system like Marketo or Pardot, marketing automation, CRM, you can still develop an effective content program that can properly measure. I think that's an important point. You don't need to have a really complicated system in order to do a good job. So now I want to give you some content marketing examples and talk to you a little bit about some of the stuff that we've been working on here, and also some of the things that I think will be of interest to you. So Paychex, this is a good example of a company that looked at, what data they already had. They went through a little bit of an audit process. They looked at the information that they already had, and they really made a terrific PR and content campaign out of it. Paychex provides payroll and other services to businesses, and they have access to a lot of data, about strength of small business. And, they did a really nice job of trying to figure out what they had, what they could talk about, and we helped them through that process. And then they created something called the Small Business Jobs Index, and that helped them generate a lot of different social and PR content. So out of the Small Business Job Index, which really tracks the health and strength of the small business owner and small businesses, they're really able to develop a bunch of different things. Here we have, of course, press releases, infographics, a whole variety of things as it relates to small business. And they've really been able to have this monthly small business index generate a lot of other things so that they can break it up. So the small business index is, as I said before, is the big rock, and they can chunk it up into different pieces. And one of those is they have the small business big impact as it relates to the impact of small business on the economy. And they also have other pieces that really look at small business usage of mobile technology, and so on and so forth. So they can divide it up, break it up, utilize it when they need it, and really have tremendous results with it. Of course, they got a lot of great press coverage out of this, and they still are at this point. Lots of good national media coverage. And it's generated a lot of SEO. It certainly has helped their search engine ranking, and it has really provided them a lot of great traffic to their website as well. So as results go, these are really great. Up to this point, they've already had, close to 500 articles, and they get 70 media hits a month just on this website that they've developed for it. And, it's tremendous publicity value for them and value as it relates to SEO and traffic on their website, and ultimately tracking to getting new customers and clients. So now you're ready. That's the bulk of the webinar, and I have a few questions here. And let's start with, let's see, we have a couple questions. One of them that I've had before, and it's an existing one right now, is how many people in your organization are engaged in developing content? Or how do you get people in your organization engaged in developing content? That's a big question everybody has. How do you get people who are in different parts of the organization engaged? How do you get them to provide content? It's a question that we have a lot. And there are many ways, some of which I talked about earlier, but One way would be to start developing an editorial board. And by that I mean a group of people who are really responsible for content marketing. They might meet weekly, they could be monthly, but they need to meet regularly to focus, to help to develop editorial calendar. It helps them provide direction and topics and content, and it really works as a team to engage the others in the process. That'd be one that I would definitely think about. I've also worked with organizations that, they make developing content part of the people's performance objectives. They receive a bonus sometimes. They really make it part of someone's job and assign them the task. And I know that's difficult to do, but that is often the most effective way. So those are a couple ways of getting people to engage. I have another question here. We have many marketing silos in our organization. How can content marketing work for an organization like us? This one is certainly more challenging, and you do need to include people from product managers to technical people, graphic designers, web developers, PR people. So there's a big cross-section of folks who need to be involved. So it's critical to get everybody thinking as a team. Some of the things I would suggest is really to develop, as I mentioned, a universal editorial calendar and let everybody see the overlap, to see the gaps. Make sure everybody has input. It's not just developed by one person. Again, the editorial board, I think, is a good idea. I think developing a strategy and a plan up front with all of these people in mind and to getting them from the different silos is really an important part, an important way to get everybody involved. And oftentimes the way they work is the budgets are allocated that way too. Everybody has a little piece of a budget, and it's difficult to get them all to pool that money to create some sort of a content program. But with a strategy and a plan and an editorial calendar and a board, you can move forward with that and help break down some of those silos. I think we have a couple more questions. Let's see. Is there a digital tool you can recommend to create content calendar beyond Excel? There's a variety of different software packages out there that have editorial content generators with them, but some of them might be a bit more than you want at this stage. I don't know what phase you're at, but Compost has a nice content calendar generator, but that is a bigger commitment. They have really a collaboration software system that they provide. So depending on where you're at in this process, Excel might be your best choice. I have a couple more. What do you mean by changes to your IT infrastructure? That's a good point. One of the things that you often have to look at is if you're going to have a database, do you have a database that may require different people being able to have access to that and providing that access? If you're going to go and say Salesforce, do you have multiple offices where you would need to have different people with access? It could be that the infrastructure doesn't really accommodate for people to have different access to a CMS, for example. Can different people post up to your website? Or is it only one person, a webmaster, that's allowed to do that? Are there multiple people who can post? A lot of things like that that really may require changes to your IT infrastructure. So those are the kinds of changes I'm referring to. I think that's it. Thank you all for joining me. If you have any more questions, you certainly can email me at johara@mower.com. And I think that there will be an actual PDF of this that's available after the webinar. So thank you all for joining us, and have a good day.